Alright, we're going to now go ahead and look at the second problem. Calculate the volume in liters of 200.0 feet cubed of water. So this one is a little difficult for two reasons. Number one, we are looking at converting into metric liters, and we're currently in imperial system, which is feet. So that's the first slightly difficult part of the problem. The second thing is we're looking at a three-dimensional conversion. So liters already is a three-dimensional property. So you'll notice it doesn't say liters cubed. That wouldn't make any sense. Liters is inherently going to be a three-dimensional unit. But feet, we know, is typically one-dimensional. You measure length in feet. If it was area, it would be feet squared. And then in this case, feet cubed, that's going to be your volume. So we're looking at having to deal with that cubed portion. So we're going to take a look at how we attack that. But just like all problems, let's go ahead and write out what we're starting out with. So we start out with the 200.0 feet cubed. Now, up here, let's go ahead and write out our roadmap. So we're starting in feet cubed, and we need to somehow get to liters. So the first thing I notice, as I mentioned, is we're in feet, which is an imperial unit, and we need to get to liters, which is a metric unit. So when I think to myself, how are we going to get from an imperial system of measurement to a metric system, I'm going to use that conversion factor that we learned in notes, which is 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So we get from inches to centimeters, which is inches is imperial, centimeters is metric. So that's going to be the basis of how we get from the imperial system to the metric system. Now you'll notice this inherently is one-dimensional, so it's 1 inch. It's not talking about inches squared or cubed, so we'll have to take care of that part. But the key thing is I could get from feet cubed to inches cubed. Once I'm in inches cubed, I can then get to centimeters cubed. Because centimeters cubed and inches cubed, we can use this conversion right up here as the basis of that. Once you're in centimeters cubed, you can make the connection that centimeters cubed is the same thing as milliliters. They are the exact same unit. So once you're in centimeters cubed, you can then get from milliliters to liters because, like I said, centimeters cubed and milliliters is the exact same thing. Now what I'm going to actually do is in the problem setup, I'm going to break these two up, and you'll see what I mean by that. Just because I want you to see that they are the same unit, but we'll show that step so no one gets confused. So overall, if I'm going to break this up, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 conversion factors for this problem. So we're going to set up 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay. Alright, so first thing we need to do is we need to get from feet cubed to inches cubed. Alright, so feet is going to go down at the bottom, and inches is going to go on top. Now I purposely left off the cubed part because I wanted to show you how we're going to tackle this part of the problem. So ignore the cubed part. So I just have feet and inches. So we know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Now that's when it's one-dimensional. What happens when it's cubed? So for example, if it's inches cubed and feet cubed, how does that change the numbers? Well, the rule is whatever you do to the unit, you do to the number. So for example, the units, we cubed them. So what is 1 cubed? Well, 1 cubed is just 1, so that stays the same. But what is 12 cubed? So if I do 12 times 12 times 12, I end up getting 1,728. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to put 1,728. Once again, I got this number by just simply taking the number 12 and then cubing it. So that now is the conversion. There's 1,728 inches cubed in 1 foot cubed. And so that's going to go ahead and make my feet cubed cancel out, and now I'm in inches cubed. So we're going to do a similar thing when we come over here, and we're going to go from inches, and we're now going from inches cubed to centimeters cubed. Once again, I'm going to leave off the cubed for a moment. So what makes inches and centimeters equal to each other? For every 1 inch, there are 2.54 centimeters. Now that's just if it's one-dimensional. If we cube the units, which we are, we have to do the same thing to the numbers. So 1 cubed is still 1, but if I do 2.54 and I cube that, or multiply it by itself by 3, we end up getting that 2.54 cubed is 16.39. 16.39 centimeters cubed. And then if I take a look at what happens to my units, my inches cubed are gone, and now I'm in centimeters cubed. So the hard part is done now. The key thing was, just a reminder, is whatever you do to the units, you have to do to the number when you're going from a one-dimensional unit to a three-dimensional unit. So feet to feet cubed and inches to inches cubed. But the hard part's done now. So we've already taken care of this conversion factor and that conversion factor. The next thing I want to do is I want to show you how you get from centimeters cubed to milliliters. And this is that step that I said is going to be, you don't have to include this step, and I'm going to show you why, because they're the same unit. But just for completion's sake, we're going to convert from centimeters cubed to milliliters. Now once again, notice milliliters does not have a cubed because milliliters is inherently volume. But centimeters is a one-dimensional unit. It's a length unit, so it's centimeters cubed is our volume. For every 1 centimeter cubed, it's equal to 1 milliliter. So, because they're the same unit. So you don't have to include this step right here if you don't want to, but I wanted you to at least see how we get out of centimeters cubed, and technically now we're in milliliters. So the final step is we're going to go from milliliters to liters, and liters is the bigger unit, so for every 1 liter, there's 1,000 milliliters, and that's going to make my milliliters cancel, and I'm left in liters. Now before we go ahead and calculate, I just want to kind of get rid of some of the, there we go. Just kind of make this clean, a little bit cleaner, so we can kind of see what our setup is. All right. So that kind of gets rid of some of the riffraff that's up at the top there. So now you can see your setup. Hopefully you can see how everything cancels out. Now let's go ahead and calculate through. 200.0 times 1,728 times 16.39 and then divided by 1,000. And it looks like with significant figures, our final answer should have 4 significant figures. And so that's going to make it 5,664 liters. And that's your answer.